In the year of 2019, hurricanes, tornadoes, ocean patterns changed, and ice caps melted. We lost entire cities. But in that moment, facing our own extinction, scientists from 17 countries, they found a way to neutralize the storms. This is what saved us all. They gave the satellite net a technical name, but we all came to call it Dutch Boy.
Jake Lawson have
Six in a hearing, room 12.
The film opens by showing Jake attending a hearing on the handover of control of Dutch Boy from America to the International Oversight Committee. Jake was tried on various charges that had absolutely nothing to do with him. Moreover, the International Supervisory Committee will send several replacement teams, replacing the team that Jake chose to build Dutch Boy at that time. Of course, Jake wouldn't let that happen, because he knows what his team is capable of. However, the trial has already been decided. Jake is fired from his job and laid off from Dutch Boy. Some of the teams that Jake chose also had to be replaced for no apparent reason. Unfortunately, Jake's position in Dutch Boy was replaced by his brother named Max. The relationship between the brothers finally had to fall apart for approximately 3 years.
Well, as of last week, they have put me in charge of Dutch Boy.
I'll take you to a few years earlier. At that time, the condition of the Earth was getting out of control. Millions of people died in a short time as a result of disasters that continuously hit the Earth. For this reason, all countries in the world are united in fighting for the unstable condition of the Earth. In the end, they chose Jake with a contraption he designed, which Jake calls the Dutch Boy. A tool with thousands of satellites, which circle the Earth as a tool to protect the Earth. Thanks to Dutch Boy, the condition of the Earth has stabilized. This tool can neutralize potential disasters that will occur in all corners of the Earth. But unfortunately, now Dutch Boy is no longer under the control of its creator, Jake. 3 years after Jake's dismissal from Dutch Boy, soldiers traveled to the Afghan desert. They were surprised because a village suddenly froze, even though the temperature outside the village reached 42 degrees Celsius. The village was completely frozen, with its inhabitants turned into ice. The incident caught the attention of the President of the United States and several related officials, because it turns out that Dutch Boy has not officially handed over its control to the International Committee and is now still under the control of the United States. Max, as the chairman of Dutch Boy, says that there may be a breakdown in Dutch Boy. Max also wanted to send a team of experts, and of course, the Dutch Boy designer himself, to check on how Dutch Boy was doing. After 3 years of not seeing each other, Max and Jake finally meet again. Their relationship is no longer harmonious. Because Jake's position in Dutch Boy was replaced by Max, Jake had to accept another consequence, namely divorce from his wife. Jake now lives on the beach alone, but luckily he still has his daughter who comes to Jake's house every weekend. There Max explained the events that had just happened, maybe because of Dutch Boy's breakdown. Max wants Jake to go to Dutch Boy to check what happened. At first Jake refused Max's request, but he knows his great love for Dutch Boy and the survival of humanity. Jake finally agrees to Max's request to return to Dutch Boy. In Hong Kong, the fire gas suddenly shot up high. The gas almost burned the entire city, but suddenly, the temperature changed drastically to be very cold. I don't know what happened. What is clear is that this is an unsolved oddity. On the other hand, Jake finally returns to the Dutch Boy space station. Jake is greeted by a woman named Ute. Ute is the chief scientist at Dutch Boy who took office a year ago. On Earth, Max is contacted by a friend from Hong Kong. His friend suspected the gas explosion in Hong Kong was caused by a hacked Dutch Boy. Max's friend is convinced because now, his access to the Dutch Boy satellite in Hong Kong has been blocked. They plan to meet in Washington to discuss the matter. But when he was about to cross, Max's friend was pushed into the street by someone and eventually died when he was hit by a passing vehicle. Max immediately reported the incident to his brother. Jake suspects that someone is deliberately hijacking Dutch Boy. Jake tells Max not to trust anyone because maybe one of them is the culprit. After the conversation ends, Max asks his friend named Dana to access the Zeus project, a project that Max's friend said was from Hong Kong before he died. Dana explains that she cannot open the Zeus project, as it requires special access from the White House. Only those closest to the president have access to the project. Luckily, Max's girlfriend Sarah is one of them. Sarah is willing to help Max even if it's breaking her oath, because for her, the safety of mankind is now his priority.
Mahmoud found the virus, got killed before he could tell anyone.
Inside the space station, Jake and Ute find a file containing a virus from Mahmoud's locker. Because a few days earlier, Mahmoud was suddenly thrown into space because of the open corridor window. Someone deliberately killed Mahmoud because they knew later that Mahmoud would report the discovery of the virus. Their guess was right. Max, Sarah, and Dana start to find out the source of the various disasters that have occurred, apparently because of the hacked Dutch boy system. The Dutch boy who was supposed to protect the Earth will be used as a weapon of mass destruction by irresponsible people.
Project Zeus.
Someone has weaponized Dutch boy.
Max immediately reported the irregularity to Jake. Jake wasn't surprised by that, because according to him, if politics interfered in managing Dutch boy, something undesirable would happen. Max says that there is a way to get the Dutch boy system back to how it was, namely by rebooting the Dutch boy system. But to do that, they need the president's help, because only the president has full access to do that. But actually, Jake wasn't sure about that, because according to him maybe the president is the mastermind behind all this. Or it could be, the president was framed by someone to do this.
The reboot will flush out the system, kill the virus, and revert back to the failsafe OS.
On the other hand, the virus embedded in Dutch boy has started to spread. It had an impact on several countries on Earth such as Brazil, which suddenly froze up to a large size of hail that fell on Japan. Jake has an idea to crash a satellite into a satellite that has been infected with a virus. Fortunately, the idea worked and the disaster disappeared instantly. But warning alarms began to sound that a geostorm disaster was imminent, a cataclysm that will kill millions of people. Then Max goes to Sarah and asks Sarah to bring the president to Max. At first, Sarah refused the request. However, as the situation began to deteriorate, Sarah finally agreed. Inside the space station, things get out of hand. In the countdown, the space station will begin a self-destruct program. Then Jake told everyone to leave the space station. However, Jake noticed that there was one person who seemed to be busy with something. Jake had been very suspicious of this person from the first time he met, and as it turned out, the guy was paid 1,000 times his salary to get the virus into the Dutch boy program. The two get into a fight, but luckily Jake survives and the man is thrown into space due to a cracked window in the corridor. On Earth, Max tries to gain access from the president to reboot Dutch boy's system. Max also asked Decom, one of the president's confidants, to help him. There, the Decom explained that the access that Max needed from the president was not in the form of numbers, but the president's fingerprints and a scan of the president's eyes. It was very difficult for Max to get it. However, Decom promised to help Max and finally, Decom took Max somewhere. But apparently, suddenly Deco shoots Max. Luckily Max was able to dodge. Max then leaves, and he also realizes that Deco is the mastermind behind all of this. The virus has spread to almost all Dutch boy satellites, until it causes various disasters to come all over the world. In Arabia there was a tsunami as high as a building, in Russia the temperature was suddenly very hot, and in India, there was a large number of tornadoes. Jake's son, who saw the live broadcast of the space station, can only hope that his father can return to Earth safely. Meanwhile, Max and Sarah finally managed to bring the president with them. Max explained that Decom was the perpetrator of all the disasters that occurred. He plans to destroy the enemy of America and kill the current president of America, so that later Decom will reach the new president position and lead the whole world with his rule. Inside the space station, the entire team will be immediately evacuated to the plane, and leaving only Max alone to reboot the Dutch boy system. Because when Dutch boy is turned off, Dutch boy must be immediately revived so that it can run smoothly. This means Max is determined to sacrifice his life for the survival of mankind on Earth. On Earth, Decom was finally caught by Sarah thanks to Sarah's expertise. Decom will be tried to the fullest after this disaster ends, because after all, killing millions of people for any reason is wrong. Finally, the president managed to access the Dutch boy system to reboot. Max looks very saddened by the struggle his brother has done for mankind. Jake tells Max that he begged Max to take care of his daughter after he died. Finally, their conversation ended in sadness, and Jake began his mission. Turns out, Jake wasn't alone. Jake doesn't realize that it turns out that Ute is also staying on the space station to help Jake reboot the Dutch boy system. Now the space station has begun to crumble piece by piece. Long story short, the two of them finally got into Dutch boy's main control system. In a few seconds, a geostorm disaster will occur on Earth, but luckily the Dutch boy satellite is slowly shutting down, and once the last satellite dies, Jake must immediately restart the Dutch boy system. In the end, they both succeeded in carrying out the mission. The condition of the Earth is also gradually improving because the Dutch boy satellite has been running well. However, the space station's automatic self-destruction is designed to be irreversible. But luckily there was still one plane left. Jake and Ute also leave by plane, accompanied by the destruction of the space station. Behind the ups and downs of the disaster that has stopped, it turns out that many people are sorry for the death of Jake, an Earth hero who is willing to sacrifice himself for the survival of mankind. But amid that sadness, a ray of light shone like a signal for help that appeared from beyond the Earth. The signal was from Jake. Jake and Ute are still alive and will soon be picked up by the rescue team. They can finally return to Earth safely, with various awards they get as heroes of the Earth. We don't know when death will come, but at least there is still time for us to prepare ourselves before death comes. And the film ends.